All right, everybody. Welcome to the third coaching call for Ultimate Lead Generation Machines. Um, Thanks for being here. I am at a remote location out by the Westin LAX Hotel for James Malinchek's Big Money Speaker Boot Camp. I'll be out here, I think, for the next couple days because I also am attending and speaking at David Fagan's Icon Boot Camp. Getting used to doing these things remotely. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about just having multiple sources of lead generation media possibilities. Another good word for it. And I just want to show you one small little schematic that I used last year when I reached out to chiropractors. I kind of fell into the chiropractic market through my friend, an honorary life chapter member, Dr. Dennis Buckley. He runs a group locally in Pasadena called CORE, and it's called Chiropractors on the Road to Excellence. And he has kind of positioned me as number one, I am his guy. I'm the one who's helped him be very successful at what he does. But number two, he's positioned me as a sponsor there, gives me an opportunity to speak and share some strategies with the young chiropractors there. There's some seasoned ones there, and really they're not my market because they're bullheaded. They think they know it. They're not willing to change, and that's okay. But they're not my market. Um, so I started working with him, and we've created a couple unique programs. One is called SCORE, Student Chiropractors on the Road to Excellence, and that's a kind of a micro continuity model with an audio interviews with the most successful chiropractors in the country, the best well known, and what they did, and all the commonalities. And we do a weekly training for them. So we've used that source, but we also have another one called an incomplete education, which is for those chiropractors who are like, hey, I've been in business 20 years and I'm still not where I want to be. And it's kind of the same format, just same lessons. It's all marketing. So we use that as a lead source for consulting and coaching. And then I have broken off and done my own things. And if you can see the screen, um, there's about 8 different main things that I do on a regular basis, but each one has a kind of a strategic approach to it on how it gets delivered and reached to the target market. Um, so the main point here is that you know most people will do one thing to generate a lead if they do anything. Okay, most people don't even understand lead generation. But lead generation is generating, right? Let's just get it clear, is generating a qualified prospect to raise their hand and request more information. Okay, so these are the things that I do, and that have brought me consistently new clients. And really, what I try to do here is position myself as a resource to them. Um, to help them in some way, shape, or form. I don't sell services. I don't sell anything. I usually lead them to a free video or a free audio or a free CD with a recording, an interview. And it's to provide free information, really, for the most part, to provide sampling of my expertise. But most importantly, it's kind of building rapport, connection, trust, those types of things. So I started using. Let's just look up at the left side of the page here. This was the basic model using the squeeze page, which we talked about last week, with the free video and then the free CD offer. And when that free CD goes out, of course, my shock and awe kit goes out. And I've tested different variations of the shock and awe, but a simple FedEx envelope with a folder in there with CD interview, with frequently asked questions, with here's what people say about Craig, et cetera, et cetera. That's done very well, including a copy of my book, by the way. But they qualify themselves by, quite frankly, by sitting and watching the full video, which the last time I did it was eight minutes. That to me signifies someone who is qualified, because if they're willing to sit through it, then it's piquing their interest. They want more information. Um, Writing. Let's just go down. We'll go counterclockwise here. Social media. I'm constantly doing things on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and those things aren't just social. Hey, eating although I do it for my own personal page, and I kind of do it to bother people too. Hey, here's a picture of my food. Here's a picture of Mini Me's food. Here's a picture of all that. But I kind of do that for fun. But when I'm doing social media strategically, it's to lead them to a video I might have done, or a blog post, or a podcast, or something. And that's what the social media is meant to do. It's to lead them to another place. And this is the Russell Brunson model. Is you want to, if you have a blog post, you want to have something underneath, a graphic with a link, or even an opt-in box if you can, to drive them to the, hey, free video reveals the number one secret too. Because the blog post promotes sampling of my expertise and gets them nodding in agreement or not. But if you can generate a qualified lead from that, then by all means you must do that. Okay, so when you create blog posts, if you can put a again a graphic with kind of almost like a mini banner on at the bottom of your posts, that drive them to your squeeze page, that would be a good thing. Leverage the opportunity that you have there. The next method that I tried is what I call the Frank Kern method. It's really the Frank Kern and Kevin Nation's method, and that is you generate through doing Facebook advertising or Google ads or whatever. You could even use postcards to drive them to, but you drive them to a webinar, and that webinar is just an online workshop, online seminar. One of our former members, Jonathan Mitchell, did this for the college planning market, and it worked brilliantly for him. Um, I think it was like a 13-to-1 ROI for him, which was pretty significant for him. But you drive people to a webinar, and then when they're done, you give them the opportunity for a free strategy session, but they must complete a questionnaire that basically qualifies them first, and then that strategy session ultimately leads to an appointment, to a paid thing. Could be a if you do seminars, if you do trainings, if you do consulting, if you do coaching, whatever, it could guide them to that. And really, what you're doing in those strategy sessions is you are what we call ruining them. You're asking them questions that generate pain. What have you done for this? What's that going to cost you? What happens if you never do this? What shame will you feel amongst your family? It's that kind of thing. I learned that. I mean, I've heard about that. I know the plain pleasure kind of thing, but funny enough, a friend of mine, who I'm not going to say his name, and you may know who he is, but a friend of mine is uh, somehow related with a known church in Hollywood, and how they get their members is they ruin them. It's like, how has life treated you so far on your own? How is your family treating you? Are you getting the support you want? Are you doing these things? And it's really to get them to suggest that, well, here you won't ever feel that way. Here you'll feel like someone special. Here you'll feel like family, that sort of thing. But you do that when you need to, and it's really, you can do this with total integrity. I mean, you're just asking the tough questions. It's like, if you're dealing with a company, how will your sales be affected if you don't do something differently now? If you're dealing with the screenwriters, well, when are you actually really going to take charge of your life and live your dream? It's like you just have to ask them the tough questions to get them to say, yeah, you're right. It's time to take action. Okay. So that's what that Frank Kern method is. You guide them online advertising to a webinar. That webinar, after they're done, you get them to say, we want to offer you a free strategy session valued at, and then that questionnaire qualifies them, and then someone from your office, either you or your assistant, will call to schedule that strategy session. And that person who calls to schedule that should be someone who can qualify them as well, even more, and possibly even do the strategy session. Okay. Next, you'll see I use direct mail. So I'll send postcards, a simple postcard out that, which I've shown in lead generation presentations at the chapter meetings, and/or if you've heard me speak. But simple postcard that looks like um, a personal ad. Okay, because it speaks to a specific who and repels the people who it's not for. So a postcard driving them to a website, driving them to a free recorded message. Driving them to call in for a free consultation, whatever. Those have worked very well. Endorsement mailings, I use Dr. Buckley as an endorsement. I do it both for the chapter meeting for local chiropractors. I do it for the SCORE program and the incomplete education program. And, basically it says, hey, I was doing okay as a chiropractor, but then I found this guy, and this guy turned my life around, and you should talk to him too, and blah, 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 blah. Um, and I also do the three-letter sequence, which is common in the magnetic marketing toolkit. And that will drive, I've done advertising critiques for, as an offer. I've done free um, uh, uncover your hidden marketing assets audits. Um, I've used that to just, and I test different things all the time. It may be to request a free copy of my book. Just answer these two questions. Are you currently advertising? Do you want to take your business to the next level? That sort of thing. The newsletter. So you haven't seen a chapter newsletter from me in a long time, and I apologize for that because I've been trying to get it sponsored. It's just a lot of work, and quite frankly, This is confidential. Only people will hear on it if they listen to the recording. But as of January, we'll be rebranding the group to be powered by GKIC. It won't be more as much about GKIC as it will be about the benefits of being with the group. I haven't finalized the name yet, but if worse comes to worse, it'll be Craig Valine's group and powered by GKIC. But and a new newsletter will come out as a launch for that. But in the newsletter going to chiropractors, I just started. I just did a 4-page thing and wrote stories about success stories from people that I worked with in the SCORE program or at the local core meetings. I make offers for a free report. Again, that directs them to a website that will capture at least their email address, so that I can email them. And it might be 9 big ideas on how you can transform your chiropractic practice in 90 days or less. I use Mini-Me as my connection device. It creates, trust, creates a connection if they're parents. So if you don't have a marketing character yet, you should think about using one. It can be real or made up. Dan Kennedy had written, he shared a letter from someone, a student who ran the marketing for a church, and they used a little church mouse who was that little character who saw things going on behind the scenes. And it's simple, it's powerful. I mean, just think Mickey Mouse, think Big Bird, think whatever. If you have to make up your own character, that's okay. But if you have one, it creates a conversational device every time you see people. There isn't one place I go. In fact, I was just here at the speaker boot camp, Jim Malinchuk speaker boot camp, and Jim Palmer came out to me and he says, "How's Mini Me?" Because I write about Mini Me all the time. If you're not seeing it on email, I'm doing it on social media. I'm doing it in my mailings. I use it for that stuff. So it creates a very powerful connection that you can't get. Think personality and copy. Think influential writing. If you don't own those programs, I highly suggest them. I don't make any commission by recommending them, but I will say that you'll become very, very successful at writing and connecting with your audiences if you do own those. Next thing I do is simple video marketing. I just set up a camera on my printer, my flip camera, and I sit back and go, "Hi, I'm Craig Valine. You may know me from such programs as no." But I'll do a quick 2-minute video, and it's the traffic geyser model, which is FAQs and SAQs. You can do 10 frequently asked questions, not all at once. Do them individually, like 2 minutes to 5 minutes per question. And really, those are objections. Those are things that people are thinking about. It could be things that people want to know about. It could be and then the should ask questions are the things. What are they not asking that they really should be asking? For instance, a restaurant. I just got a referral from one of our members to a local restaurant, and they have very low attendance in there. Their food is outstanding. They have a good beer selection. I love beer. Who doesn't? But they called me and they said, "Yeah, we want to do a direct mail campaign. We want you to do a direct mail campaign." Well, that's not the thing that's their problem. They don't need. Yes, they probably need to do a direct mail campaign, but one campaign isn't going to solve their problem. They have other issues. So I'll do those should ask questions to answer those things, right? So that's big for me. I've got to get them back on track, so they hire me as an advisor, as a consultant, not just as someone who can facilitate a simple direct mail campaign, because that's not the problem. So I do FAQs and SAQs. Okay, and if I'll upload a worksheet that I got from Traffic Geyser as a member on the website after later on today. That can help you guide, answer those questions. Blog with opt-in. This is the thing that I was just kind of mentioning. I put audio posts, I put video posts, I put written posts. Lately it's been real hard for me to write. I don't know why. Some every once in a while I get that block. I don't know if it happens to you, but I could sit there and have a conversation with you. For instance, if you ask me a question, I could sit there and go bam, 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 bam. And what you can do with those is, have someone interview, just ask you questions and then transcribe it. Because, when Charlie McDermott was out, I think it was last year when we were still at Dennis Buckley's office, he says you need to have a regular blog that has written posts and you should have a video blog. And if possible, have an audio blog as well because they will be optimized. Videos are optimized because Google owns YouTube, right? In its content. Written blog is optimized because it's providing content. Google loves content, no matter what it is. Okay, and especially if it's what people are searching for. But audio posts, you can put those on podcast directories too, as well as being on your site. If you're not already, you might want to just type into Google podcast directories and see how many actually come up. I think there are, I don't use one, but I think there are, just much like there is a Traffic Geyser, I think there is something similar to it for audio posts. And Traffic Geyser also allows you to do stuff like that. There are sites, it'll let you send out videos, it'll let you send out audios, and it'll let you send out articles to specific sites. Now, they're just if you don't use Traffic Geyser, their sites change all the time because they're now, maybe right now they're allowing videos to be uploaded via a mass vehicle, if you will, via Traffic Geyser. But sometimes then they say no, we don't want that anymore, so they have to keep updating the sites. So you got to just keep alert to that. The other thing I do is article marketing. Okay, again, I have a lot of old articles that I've written since 2000 that I just recycle. Sometimes that's another way, by the way, to use blog posts is just recycle the stuff you've already done, retitle it, change the paragraphs around, focus on one aspect of your article versus the whole article and that sort of thing. Because then you have more content and people can find you. But the main point is, at the end of each article and also on those videos, by the way, make sure you drive people to a certain place. You can have a text box or caption underneath that leads them to somewhere, or you can have a title clip at the end of your video using Camtasia, as simple as Camtasia or whatever I forget what I think it's ScreenFlow, I think is what is the Mac version. But you can add title clips at the end where it says, and I do this, you may see my videos if I do a quick promotional video. At the end, it has a little music and it'll say, to register for tonight's meeting, go to blank. Make sure you have a call to action because otherwise it doesn't, it's not going to do any justice for you. So I just want to show you, this is just one example. Now, I did a coaching call with one of our members on the call here today, the other day, and he took a picture for me and emailed it to me. It has a whiteboard with I would say about 30 to 50 different strategies he's going to use to drive traffic to his website. Okay, that's good stuff. Now, these things aren't necessarily traffic drivers. I have to use other things that might maybe drive traffic as well. Some of them are, some of them not. But these are sources for me to generate leads from different places. Okay, some are deliberate for me sending out to guide people back to the source to opt in. Some are people are going to see my video on YouTube because I've optimized it the right way. I've keyworded it the right way. Some are going to be referrals. Some are going to be friends referring friends, like let's say on social media. So you want to have multiple sources for lead generation. Don't just rely on that, like we talked about last week. Don't just have one squeeze page and say, oh, that's my catch-all for everything. Because different people will type in different things to find you, and you want to make sure that when they land there, it's speaking directly to what they were searching for, and it's speaking directly to that who. Okay, because you're missing out. Think exponential growth. If you want to just make a few bucks, then just do one. If you want to make multiple bucks, many bucks, mucho bucks, then you got to do mucho things. Okay, it's simple as I can make it. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to show you. Any questions at all? Go ahead and speak up. Trevor, John, Jeff, James.
Uh, this is Jeff. I have a question, Craig. You have
Sure.
social media and all that on there. Do you actually find that chiropractors? I mean, they tend to be pretty busy. Are they on the whole social media thing?
Well, that's a great question. Yes, they are. Number one, I have probably about 100 chiropractors as friends on my page, but they found me via um, uh, how shall I say, um, affinity sites. So there's like a site called the Dead Chiropractor Society. Okay, they have a page. It's very active, and I'm on there. And every once in a while, I'll share a resource, or I'll share a tip, or someone will ask a question about something, and I'll answer it. And then they friend me afterwards. So
Okay.
yeah, so you want the best place to find these things, and don't you're not pushing, you're not selling. You're just offering information. You're helping them, being social. Hey, how are you? Just want to introduce myself, and then they'll want to know more about you, so they'll go to your page. Okay, and if you have a good signature file where they can go and like maybe go to your website or the squeeze page, make sure it's not just your general website. If you have a specific lead generation website, make sure they can go there. Like free video reveals the number one secret too, or something to that effect. That's the way they can start to get to know you.
So be specific in the squeeze page. Got it.
I would, depending
It's
on
not a
where.
brochure, basically. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, you want to be specific, especially if you're hanging out. And now you can, like in my, let's just say my Outlook email, right? Depending on who I'm responding to, I have a different signature for the people I'm responding to. So if I get an email, let's say from a chiropractor, my quote that I have might be from a famous chiropractor. The page that I lead them to might be just speak to chiropractors, how chiropractors can multiply their income and multiply their patients' visits. Free video reveals all, something to that effect. If I'm speaking to orthodontists, the same thing. Yeah, you just want to make sure that you're speaking to people who get it immediately. Now,
Right.
like in my case, I deal with entrepreneurs too, and if they think of themselves as an entrepreneur, like for instance, Brian Berg doesn't consider himself an entrepreneur, but he's one of the biggest entrepreneurs I've ever met. And he has
Right.
clients,
Yeah. Exactly.
but he doesn't consider himself an entrepreneur. So I have to speak to orthodontists. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So the more
Craig,
specific you are, the better it is.
Craig, this is John. The question I have for your direct mail pieces to the chiropractors, how are you getting past the gatekeeper on that? I think the postcards, are some of those going to get tossed out by the receptionist?
You want to? That's a great question, John. I'm actually speaking on that this weekend at David Fagan's event on direct mail. But the thing is, you want to do what you got to do to get past the gatekeeper. I mean, make it look personal. Make it send it in a priority envelope. Speak about the problems that the entire office knows about. If the doctor knows about it, chances are the staff knows about it. If there's for instance, we're not converting enough people to sales, converting enough prospect to sales. Well, the sales secretary probably knows that, one way, shape, or form. So just make sure that it speaks directly to the problem that everybody knows exists.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? If you're not speaking, put yourself on mute.
I think would it work if I put a list,
Anybody else?
like a bulleted list down here of lead sources?
Trevor, are you speaking?
Oh no.
If you're not speaking on here, put yourself on mute.
Hi, Craig.
Yes.
Hi,
Hey, Brian, how are you?
This is Brian. Hey, yeah, I'm just gonna put you on mute, but I'm here. I had problems with the audio or the connecting on the through the GoToMeeting, so I had to download the
Oh,
app.
okay.
They wanted. Oh, thanks. Okay, I'm on mute.
Okay. Who else? Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, then we'll wrap it up. But by all means, if there's if you have
I'm sorry.
questions, are you there?
Yeah, Craig. I'm sorry. This is gonna be. I got it late. This is gonna be recorded, correct?
I'm sorry. You got to speak up. It's hard to hear.
Yeah, sorry. I got it late. This is gonna be recorded.
Yes, this is
And our
recorded.
member site. And our member site. Okay, thanks.
That's If you notice, I switched services to a more reliable brand,
Well,
and I apologize for that. I hope the audio from last week was still something you could get information from.
well, no problem. But like you said, this will be in our member site. This one.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hey, Craig. I'm sorry, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Hey, when you're doing the direct mail postcard, driving people to online or webinar,
Yes.
what does that copy kind of look like? What is it trying to do?
Well, even though it's free, you still got to sell free. So it's got to, just everything that you would do in any type of selling environment is number one, you're going to send it to people that you know, or at least presume because you have enough evidence to prove this, that they have this problem or they're looking for a solution to this problem. And it may not be a significant problem, meaning, they're not in dire need, but it's something they're thinking about. It's on their mind. Remember the conversation currently occurring in the prospect's mind. So number one, you're going to need to know who you're sending it to. So it should speak to them. Number two is the headline has to absolutely speak to that problem. Okay. And then, I mean, the basic copy is meant to just lead them to go take action and go to that webinar. Now, depending on what webinar service you use, if you use Evergreen or if you use Kajabi or something like that, you can schedule those webinars. So, for instance, it drives them there, but hey, I don't have time to watch it now. We'll get them to schedule it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, it's successful to just go straight from postcard directly to webinar because, like, I've seen people try to take me to free report first.
Well, you can also guide them to that first page that they land on for the webinar should be a welcome page. Hey, thanks for coming here. If you're here, you received my postcard in the mail, or you received a message, or you received something. My name is blank, and I'm the foremost authority on this in the Los Angeles area, or whatever. Yeah, you want to do an introduction by all means, but then there's an opt-in box, just as if you were going to say free video reveals the number one secret to. This is the same thing. You've got to sell them on opting in.
Okay, so postcard to landing page. But like, so the postcard is going to mention a webinar, or the postcard is just going to mention the site?
You could mention the webinar.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Free. I would call it an online seminar, online workshop.
Okay.
Because many people don't, except for people in our world, they don't really know what a webinar is.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so postcard driving them, telling them that there's a workshop online that they can schedule. They land on this landing page. The landing page just welcomes them for doing it, reaffirms why they're on there, and then makes them opt in to schedule the webinar.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Thanks.
It's pretty simple. As long as you can make that connection right there on that landing page, it's that simple.
Okay, thanks. Oh, and the other question I just typed it in. It's I'm trying to decide whether actually I didn't ask you that one. I asked you a different one, but I'm trying to decide how many different methods of response that I should actually give these people, and whether it's smart to give them a lot of different ways to get access to the webinar. If they can go on Facebook, they can go this and that, or to just give them a few choices.
That's a great question. I don't know if you received it, but there was a recent gold CD with Dave D and Darren Spindler. I would listen to that if you haven't already, because Darren, it's all about lead generation, and Darren does a program called kidsbowlfree.com, and he's a master lead generation, and he spoke right on that subject. But the point is that you can either I wouldn't do that necessarily. Again, it's something you got to test, but you could. I mean, you could put a phone number on there and say, if you have questions about this online workshop, please call us at this number. But if on the website, you absolutely positively could, because you could say, listen, at any time during this webinar that you feel like you'd like your questions answered, please feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. The other thing is that, like, you might want to have a live chat, on
That's
there.
what I was thinking too. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because if people want their questions answered, they want them answered now. So by all means, you want to set it up for success.
Well, the one thing though is, like, I mean, the chat person actually has to be somewhat of a salesperson.
or
So I don't
someone
know if
trained.
there's, yeah, okay,
I mean, listen, Ari Galper has a service called Chatwise,
awesome. Okay.
and basically these people are trained to answer the six most frequently asked questions, or the 12 most frequently asked questions about things. And at the very least, they're there to soothe them and say, you know what, that's a very great question. Would it be all right if I had, our head trainer or our head, our expert give you a call back in the morning with the answer to this question? I mean, you just
Mhm.
do it. Listen, if people feel like they're being heard and that their need will be satisfied at least fairly quickly, then you're likely to get to still keep them.
Mhm. Chat wise, you said?
Chatwise, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just type in Ari Galper, Ari Galper, Galper.
Mhm.
Ari Galper's Chatwise.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? I'm about to come up with my free Wi-Fi dropping on me in a moment. Anybody there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Are you there?
I can still hear you, Craig,
Okay,
but
good.
I think
I'll edit that out. But anyway, my
Well, I
my
got I got one last.
yeah. Let's get one or two last questions in.
Yeah, if I get an opportunity to ask this last question, I just typed it in. Basically, you're saying the should ask questions. Like, what's the different message behind that and the questions you should be asking a college planner or whoever before you hire them?
Well, the frequently asked questions are the things you hear all the time. Those are the
All
things, and
objections.
yeah, those are the objections or concerns, or it might be an objection or concern, but it also might be the thing that they want to know, and you can answer that. The
Yeah.
should ask questions are the things that they don't even realize they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these are the things that are going to set you up as, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy is someone who is trusted because he's sharing this insider information, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm thinking, though, because like if I'm gonna have a shotgun out box and I have a 7 questions you should ask a college planner before hiring him, is that pretty much the same document that we're talking about, like should ask questions?
Um, no, not necessarily. That one positions you as the obvious expert because you're answering the things that, hey, before you hire any college planning expert, make sure they can answer these 7 questions. That's what you do. The frequently
Oh,
asked
okay.
questions are the things that frequently asked questions. Again, if you can answer objections that they're likely going to come up with, like, hey, it costs too much, I can't afford that, blah 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 blah, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then you do that. The should ask questions are, these are things you really should be asking that you're not. So, like for instance, the should ask questions I was relating um, to that bar in Pasadena. There says, oh, we're down on things, so we should probably do a direct mailing, huh? No, you should be asking, what's the big problem here? What's the main reason that we're not getting the business we don't? Well, number one, we don't have a strategy. We don't have marketing. We don't have a marketing plan in place, et cetera, et cetera. You just gotta.
So kind of like a reframe, like just reframing what they perceive to be the problem, and more informational.
It could be. It could be.
Okay.
um, you just again think of the things that they should know that they are not asking.
Right. Okay.
You'll know what those are. Just I'll send again. I'll put that worksheet on the website. So go through it,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have any
Mm-hmm.
other specific questions after that, just email me.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Well, if there's no other questions at this time, then I'm going to log off because I'm going to lose my internet soon. I think I got 45 minutes free. But if you have any questions at all in the next week, please email me. But I will have this recording and some supporting materials up by the weekend. So keep an eye out. I am out on this side of town all weekend, so I'm going to have to do it when I get home later at night. But listen to it again and look at the resources. And if you need any help, please email me. All right. So if that's it, I'm gonna log off. Everybody okay? All right. Have a great week.
We're good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, take it easy, Craig. Are you going to be there Monday? Perfect.
Hey, Brian, you still there? Yes. Tuesday night is the chapter meeting. So I will be there on
Right,
Tuesday.
and then the weekend. And the weekend is the David Fagan, right? That's coming up.
David Fagan's event, correct?
Yeah, which is free. We can log into that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll sign up. I'm going to do that.
All right.
Thanks.
Good. That'll be a great event for anybody, I promise. Okay, I'm going to head out. What's that?
Oh, no, I said see you Tuesday.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for everybody for bearing with the background noise. Thanks for bearing with these conditions. I hope that they are of some value to you. But if you need some additional help, just send me an email. I'm happy to answer those questions for you. All right. I'm signing off. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.